Have you ever spent ages writing what you thought was the perfect, super detailed text prompt for an AI, only to get something back that's just completely off? Well, there's a new tool from Google that says, hey, forget the long prompts, and lets us start creating with our eyes. Let's talk about Google Whisk.
So, what have we got on the agenda today? We're going to dive into how this thing actually works and what it might mean for the future of AI art. We'll start with the problem Whisk is trying to solve, then we'll look at how it remixes images, peek under the hood at its dual AI engine, and finally, ask the big question: is this the future of creation?
All right, first up, to really get why Whisk even exists, you gotta understand what we call the prompting problem. Look, powerful tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion are absolutely incredible, but let's be honest, they can turn creativity into a total chore. To get the image you're picturing in your head, you practically have to become a prompt wizard, crafting these ridiculously complex descriptions. I mean, seriously, who hasn't been there? You're trying to describe the exact lighting, that specific mood, the precise little details on a character, and it starts to feel a lot more like you're writing code than making art, right? It's a super common frustration, and it is the exact problem that Google is trying to solve here. And this gets right to the heart of the whole shift in thinking. Traditional AI makes us translate a visual idea into words. Whisk just flips that completely on its head, letting us start with the visuals themselves. It's a huge move from typing to composing, from text to texture. And that, of course, brings us to the solution: Google Whisk. It's a tool that's been cooking up in Google Labs, and it's built on a really simple but powerful idea. What's the best way to describe an image? Well, it's with another image. So yeah, Whisk isn't just generating something out of thin air. You can think of it more like an intelligent remixing engine. It looks at the visuals you give it, the subject, the background, the artistic style, and it figures out how to blend all those key characteristics together to create something totally new. So how does this whole remixing thing actually work in practice? Well, the real magic of Whisk is just how simple it is. Google designed the entire process to be super intuitive and, maybe most importantly, really, really fast.
Honestly, the best way to think about it is like you're making a visual smoothie. First, you start with your main ingredient, the subject. Let's say a picture of your dog. Then you add the liquid base, the scene, maybe a photo of a cool forest. And finally, you pick your flavor, the style, like a piece of vintage anime art. Whisk just blends it all together. And hey, if it's not quite perfect, you can still add a little pinch of text to fine-tune the final result.
Okay, so how does it actually do that? How can it possibly understand the dogness of your subject, the forestness of the scene, and the anime-ness of the style, and then somehow merge them all together so it makes sense? Well, the magic is in this really powerful two-step process that's all happening behind the scenes. You see, it's not just one AI doing all the heavy lifting here. Google has built a dual-engine system. They've got two of their most powerful models working together as a team, and each one is playing to its own unique strengths to build your final image. And this is the first and maybe most crucial step. The multimodal Gemini AI takes a look at the images you uploaded. It actually understands the content and the context of them, and then, get this, it does the hard work for you. It writes a super detailed, perfectly structured text prompt that describes the exact combination you're asking for. It basically becomes your own personal expert prompt engineer. So once Gemini has written that perfect prompt, it gets handed off to Imagen 3, which is Google's state-of-the-art image generator. Imagen 3 just takes those perfect instructions and gets to work rendering the final image. That's the secret sauce. One AI acts as the brain, and the other acts as the artist. And what you get is a really simple interface with an incredibly powerful engine humming away behind it.
But you know, no tool is perfect for every single job. This much simpler visual approach comes with a pretty classic trade-off. What you gain in simplicity, you might lose in fine-tuned control. So let's break down the pros and cons.
So here's the deal in a nutshell. Whisk is amazing for speed, for just exploring ideas, and for anyone who wants to create cool stuff without having to become a prompt engineer. But if you're a power user who needs to control every single pixel, then a traditional text prompt might still give you more of that granular control. Whisk prioritizes the main idea, so it might change a minor detail, like a specific hairstyle, just to make the overall image work better. So really, it's not a replacement, it's just a different creative path. So what does a tool like Whisk mean for the bigger picture? For the future of creativity and AI?
This is more than just another image generator. It represents a pretty significant shift in who gets to create.
At the end of the day, Whisk is all about accessibility. By tearing down that difficult barrier of prompt engineering, it's opening the door for basically anyone, students, marketers, casual creators, to start making high-quality images. And Google's moving fast on this, already rolling it out in over 100 countries.
And this brings us to a really fascinating final thought. For years now, we've been teaching ourselves how to talk to machines using words. But tools like Whisk suggest a totally different future, one where we communicate our creative ideas visually. So, what do you think? Are we moving toward a future where our best ideas are remixed, not written?